this could be possible, that people are not afraid to even make the first step to say, would you like to collaborate? You know what I mean?
I've thought about this a lot.
Yeah.
So I think it takes a lot of planning and a lot of agreeing to set aside your time for someone else. So if I were to, like, I'm looking at the people operating the cameras, and people who might be doing social media, and people who have spaces, and it's like, okay, what if we did a skill swap? And like, okay, you light my video, I write your script, and like we dedicate October for doing that skill swap. And we say, okay, every year we have 1 month of skill swapping. That's the month we do it. And so
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
You're skill swapping.
Yeah.
Welcome to Rapid Wednesday, a conversation series where we celebrate female entrepreneurs and their inspiring stories. I'm Paola, founder of Fanm Djanm. We make beautiful head wraps and hair accessories for every occasion and everybody. Each month, we sit down with an incredible woman from our community and we talk about their work, their passions, and what drives them. Join us as we connect and uplift each other. We're sitting here with Evelyn. Am I pronouncing it right?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have you sitting next to me to talk about being a creative, living in Austin, your passions, your dreams. So would you like to start by telling us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a YouTuber, video producer, screenwriter, internet kid, and that's what I do. I make mostly comedy, and I also write comedy. I love skits. I love jokey jokes. I just love funny scenarios and bringing out like the humor in everyday life.
The humor in everyday life.
Yeah.
So what would you say is one of your favorite skits
that I've done?
That you've done in terms of bringing the humor out of everyday life?
I have this character called Mama Jessica, and she is like a Kenyan mom that is Americanized, which would be my mom. She's been here as long as I've been alive. So Mama Jessica is very opinionated, but she's very like loving. It's all about finding the humor in the little things like my mom and her friends do, like the way they speak, the way they like offer you fruit, the way they critique you. Wow, they're really going in right now, but they don't know they're roasting you.
Right.
So yeah, I had one skit where it was called Mama Jessica Marie Kondo's her daughter's closet, and she was just going through the closet like roasting all her daughter's clothes. I wear a lot of black, and so she was just like, black, 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 give your depression to God, Jessica, please. Like, what's with all the black? That's very much something that those types of moms would say. Yeah. So yeah, Mama Jessica is my favorite character and skit.
Okay. So you describe yourself as an internet kid. What would you say was the pivotal moment where you're like, okay, I am like this is like who I am or part of my identity?
So I've had a YouTube channel since I was maybe like 18 or 19. And when I first got on YouTube, I was just a user. So I had a username. And if you watch my videos for that long, you remember that first username. But that first username was actually my AOL, like that was my AIM username that I just like brought out of the depths of my memory just to like log in to start a YouTube account in like 2007, right? And so when people out in the world refer to me as my AOL / early YouTube name, that's when I'm like, oh, I've been doing this a long ass time. Yeah.
What was the name? Oh, I have an embarrassing one too. That's what I'm asking.
Okay. It was Spicy Eve.
That's actually cute.
Thank you.
Okay, we're not gonna share mine. How long have you lived in Austin?
Since I was 18.
Okay, yeah, you've been here since you were 18. So I know you do a few things, and one of your projects that you co-produced was, it's called Austin While Black.
Oh yeah.
From a few years back. Why did you choose to become one of the people to start that project?
Yeah, so Austin While Black was a video series that I started with my best friend, Doyen Oyini. They currently work at Texas Monthly, and we both went to university together for journalism. And so we spent, 4 years in college, and UT loves to make itself feel like it is all of Austin. And it's very easy to never leave for anything, especially if you don't have a car, right? So like I would ride the bus to like my internships and like Walmart, but besides that, it's very difficult to kind of get around and understand what all of Austin is. And both Doyen and I came from North Texas, so like the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so by the time we graduated, we kind of realized, oh, we don't know anything about Austin itself. All we know is the University of Texas at Austin. And so we started Austin While Black to talk to people that we had met over the years, people who are really like mainstays of this community, to learn more about the history, to learn more about the geography itself of Austin and why it's set up the way it is. And just like to tap into our community. So that's kind of why we started it. We also went like baby viral because we had a video where we tried counting the Black people at ACL.
I always do that when I go out in Austin.
So like, yeah, that was kind of the tone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. And I mean, I watched a few of the episodes or kind of like went through them, and a lot of them were kind of serious, right? So what did you learn from that whole project? What was the biggest lesson there?
I think the biggest lesson I learned is Austin has some of the best advertising in the country. You think like the advertising of Austin is one thing, but the experience of being in Austin is a completely different thing. When it comes to the demographics, when it comes to like the culture, the nightlife, what you do for fun. Like if you were, like in 2008, if you were to Google Austin, and kind of the reason I came is because I thought it was for artists, like creative. The Dallas-Fort Worth area is very like corporate. That's where all the headquarters of things are. And so I was like, oh, I'll come to Austin because I'm interested in journalism. The Capitol's here, artists are here, music venues are here. And then you come and it's like, it's not really, everything's kind of disjointed.
Yes.
The advertising will make you feel like everyone's two-stepping everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, but it's really bachelorette city, so yeah, that was kind of jarring.
It's funny you say that. I feel the same way about America. Because I remembered as a kid, I was like, I can't wait to come here. And I had a whole other vision. And then I came here and my family moved to Newark. And I was like, where are all the white picket fences? Like, where are all the houses? And like, so here you go. I remember personally, I came across one of your videos. You're wearing a Beyonce shirt, and it was one of those videos that you were like, I'm in Beyonce's video, and I think she used you as a. I want to talk about kind of like, I feel like you do a lot in terms of creating or producing content, right? You have very funny Evelyn, very lighthearted, and then you have you're tackling everyday issues like seeing the beauty in everything, and then you talk about some serious things too, and you try to bring them into light. So as a creator, how does your mind work? Like when you see something, do you like put it in the back of your mind, like you're like, okay, this is a nice folder, or do you say, okay, I'm gonna act on this right now? I'd like for you to take us through.
Oh, okay, that's a good question.
Mind.
It's a lot of like input. I like that you mentioned folders. I wish it was as organized as folders, but I'm one of those people who has like 700 tabs open, and like my notes app is the wild, wild west. So I have voice notes, I have the notes app, I sometimes email myself, sometimes it's the Google.
Are we friends?
Yes.
Are we? Okay.
So
there, okay, yes.
So I email myself. For me, I take note of kind of the root or like the point, whether it's the point of a joke, like the punchline, or like the feeling that I'm trying to get down to.
Yes.
That's usually what comes up for me first, and then I have to go back and build the path to the punchline or the path to the point I'm trying to make. So yeah, it's a lot of different methods of keeping track of my ideas. It's a lot of talking out loud to myself, talking in the mirror, in the car, in the shower. It's a lot of, because a lot of it is also delivery, so I have to actually deliver it. So yeah, that's kind of
how important is delivery?
Oh my God, it's so important.
Everything, right?
Yeah, it's so important. Yeah, especially with comedy, because there is, dry humor. There's physical comedy where you have to like show the physicality of your comedy. There's satire. There's so many different brands and genres of comedy that it's important to nail the delivery. Yeah.
What made you go into journalism? I want to try to tie all of this.
Okay, so social media was kind of like an accident. Not really an accident. It was my hobby. So when I was a teenager, I thought, I'm gonna work for a magazine. I'm gonna work for a freaking like Vibe magazine. I'm gonna work for a Complex, Rolling Stone. I'm gonna like follow these amazing, interesting artists around and get to know, kind of what makes them tick. And that's what I thought I was gonna do. And so I went to school in 2008, and that was the tail end of the recession. And so I knew I had to also, like, people weren't getting pure writing jobs anymore. And so I was like, I should probably teach myself video so that I could put it on my resume and do that whole thing. So I taught myself editing. I mean, I'd been editing like as a teenager up until then, but I taught myself, more editing. I did some internships during South by. So again, tying in my interest in the arts and musicians and like recording them and, kind of following them around. And during that time, I was also just like posting videos on Facebook and YouTube. And so everything was kind of happening at the same time, but I was supposed to be a reporter. Like a culture writer.
Because I feel like when I think of comedy and journalism, I think about like Trevor Noah or like those kind of guys, you know what I mean? So do you think you'll connect those, or you're focusing right now mostly on comedy?
So I had a stint of connecting them because I had a show with PBS, PBS Digital Studios, and it was filmed here in Austin. It was called Say It Loud. It was a Black history and Black culture show. And so we had to write skits for every episode. We had to have characters. The main audience was like, this has to be appropriate to show in high schools, right? So it had to be educational, have some jokey jokes for entertainment, but ultimately it was for like kind of school. There's a lesson. It's hard. It is so hard to make kind of like social, political content and have it be funny, and have it be appropriate. Something
not offend everyone.
Yeah, it's so hard. Like, I know why things are funny, and there's this thing called gallows humor where we can commiserate because we're in the same station in life. So it kind of gets to that point of like, I know why I'm laughing. Why are you laughing? Like,
because sometimes you're laughing a little too hard. You're laughing about the same.
And so like, I am first generation American. My co-host was African American, and so we were able to both kind of tag team topics, but it is hard.
What was the hardest episode you had to write about, and like what was that process like?
I can't pinpoint one episode. We had one season that ran for a year, but just every day, like the daily struggle of having a topic, trying to figure out, okay, where's our in? Like, how do we pull out the funny in this? We also had a researcher, so she was like a PhD. She was a PhD who did all, like, who helped us with our research. And so we wrote the show, but she was like, you have this wrong, like the context is incorrect. Let me educate you on, where you might have missed something. But it was just the daily process of, it felt like writing a book report every single time with some jokes.
But make it funny.
It was tough. So I admire people who are able to take news or like political commentary and make it funny, because it is tough. And you also worked for, was it Naturally Curly? Naturally Curly,
And were you doing mostly video production with them?
So I was an intern when I was in school, and I was then I got a full-time job as a social media manager, the first one that they ever had, and then slowly they hired enough people, and we we schemed together to make a video department because they didn't have a video department. And so then I became a video manager, and then after that I was like the head of the video department. So it was very like building it as we go. So I started with social media, kind of a traditional kind of customer service, posting social media type things, and then we moved over to video.
So with your skits now, I'm sure you probably go back and you look at how much you've grown, kind of like overall, right? Since doing, you were saying 2008, you started basically as a kid. With your new projects now, you have, I remembered you were part of something called This Could Have Been an Email. And you have something, Evelyn with Friends is like maybe
Friends,
your latest project. Do you want to talk to us more about this particular project?
This Could Have Been an Email is a web series that my friend, who is actually my co-host and producer for the PBS show, it's her web series. It's a workplace comedy about two Black women who work in HR and the shenanigans that ensue. She asked me to co-star in it and co-write. So we've been doing that. We put out 3 out of the 5 episodes. Funds ran out. So then we kind of switched focus to writing a full pilot, which is 30 minutes of television as opposed to like a 10-minute YouTube video, so that we could apply to different fellowships and like grant money. Those types of organizations want you to write a full episode of television to apply. So we worked on that, we did that, and now she's just kind of shopping it around, trying to figure out where we can fit in. And then with Evelyn and Friends, that is my show. It's on my YouTube channel. I have 1 5-episode season so far, and it's a variety show. So we have games, we have an interview, what did we have? The season finale, we had a musical guest. So really just trying to do the whole daytime talk show type vibe.
Okay, so you talk about being in front of the camera, and then you also do writing. Is there one you prefer over the other, or do they just come hand in hand?
I've always seen myself as a writer first and then a performer. But I think now, and I'm like holding on to the writing part, but I think I have to, acknowledge and appreciate the performer side a lot more. Especially after working on the web series and working with actors who see themselves as performers first and writers because they have to be, and we're kind of switched. So it was interesting to talk to them. And I always said like, oh, I don't feel like I'm really an actor, and they're like, I'm literally acting with you right now. So what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, I guess you're right. Like, I did memorize the lines. And
you talk about delivery too. And, and all of that matters. Do you see yourself staying in Austin in terms of growing your creative career?
Man, the question. Okay. So Austin is the only place I've ever lived as an adult. So I moved here from DFW, and I love it. Like, this is where all my friends are from. Like, now those friends have kids, so I'm attached to those kids. So if I were to leave, I would leave Texas in general. I think if I'm to stay in Texas, it's going to be Austin. And if I'm leaving Texas, I think I would move to Chicago. I think I moved to Chicago.
Nice.
I would move to LA like if I had a job.
Right.
But if I don't have a job, I might as well move to Chicago.
Right.
So yeah.
So what do you think in terms of, do you like working as a creative for someone, let's say a big project, or do you like the idea of just like coming up with the concept and raising money? And so
raising money.
Not the thumbs down, because that's hard, right?
It's so hard. So I'm actually going through this now of like, okay, I quit my full-time job December 2017. So it's been, I don't know math, 5 years, 6 years?
Yes.
Since I've been working for myself, and I am kind of done. Like, I would love to work towards someone else's vision. It's kind of hard to maintain your own vision for so long.
Tell me about it.
So it's so funny you say that, because I was looking and I saw that you were hiring a social media manager, and I was like, should I call her?
Oh my God, how dare you not call? I'm so upset.
I was like, I don't know. Because I miss my coworkers, like having coworkers, because I love them so much. So I wish I had coworkers. I love like having something to do, someplace to be that is not of my own, like I didn't make it up.
Yes.
It's very hard to like be consistent and be disciplined when I'm my own boss. I'm the worst boss to myself ever.
Yeah.
I love the flexibility and the freedom, but the structure of working for yourself is quite difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just miss being around people.
Yes, I can actually relate to that. I remembered I quit my first big job and I didn't tell my family because I lived in New York. And then I had to like sit around coffee shops for all to figure it out. And that was not cute. I had to get a job again until I figured it out.
Yeah.
No, it was like, and then sometimes you'll get the idea and things just keep rolling and then one thing comes to you. And then I would say one of the ways maybe I, like Fanm Djanm grew were in ways I never anticipated. Oh. They were just kind of like, I'm doing something for a while and then this opportunity comes and I go, yeah, why not? Let me throw myself in there.
Yeah.
And then I'll go, oh, this is kind of cool because one way I've been able to grow Fanm Djanm is because I've been able to work for other people, you know, because I feel like if I started and I just had a, like, let's say a GoFundMe, right? And then I raise money, then that's, all of those things are important, right? But then I also feel like having random opportunities like speaking or going into different ways that you can like go and invest. So I completely understand what you mean, like especially as a creative, like working for yourself as a creative person.
Especially with the PBS show, that was such like a relief.
Right.
Even though it was hard from the beginning to the end, it was like, I know people are gonna think I'm crazy, but like Zoom, logging into Zoom and being like, hey girls, or just having Slack. I know Slack is triggering the sound. I can hear the sound right now. But like, I miss that because without a bigger project or someone else's web series or someone else's something, it's kind of just me and my voice notes and my Google Docs.
And you're talking to yourself in the mirror,
right? Trying to make something work. So, yeah, it's being creative is tough, and I wish there were more avenues to like be creatives together, like at the same time. Like I have a co-working space, the Austin Media Maker Center.
Yes.
And that's cool, but it's not the same.
You said you wish there was a way that we could be creative together. How do you see that going though? Because I do feel like people do collaborate, and from my experience, I feel like even before I started Fanm Djanm, and again, I'm like you. I talk to myself. I have the voice notes. I record things, and then I cringe listening to my voice. Or like, there are times you have other people who are creative, and you all need each other in some way. Yeah. But then getting together to actually do the thing is like the hard part. It's like we're all talking about it. We're all excited, and when it comes down to it. So how do you think something like this could be possible, that people are not afraid to even make the first step to say, would you like to collaborate? You know what I mean?
I've thought about this a lot.
Yeah.
So I think it takes a lot of planning and a lot of agreeing to set aside your time for someone else. So if I were to, like I'm looking at the people operating the cameras, and people who might be doing social media, and people who have spaces, and it's like, okay, what if we did a skill swap? And like, okay, you light my video, I write your script, and like we dedicate October for doing that skill swap. And we say, okay, every year we have 1 month of skill swapping. That's the month we do it. And so
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Skill shares, like skill swapping.
Yeah.
Like I actually did reach out to someone where I was like, can we swap something, like your time for my time?
Something.
No, it's true, because I mean, time is valuable. And if you're an expert or you're just good, or you know, you can do the thing, and I feel like you could add value to the thing I'm trying to do. And I know I can add value to the thing you're trying to do. So why not swap that and like really make it real?
Yeah.
You've got something there.
I know I do.
Skill swapping.
'Cause I need it desperately.
So do you think you're gonna have another season with your show? You said you just wrapped up this last 5 episodes.
Man. So I wanted to have a Kwanzaa special, but I should have already like made that if it's gonna come out in December. So I'm not sure. I know in 2024 I would like to figure that out. It's one of those things where I funded the first season myself, and I was able to hire an animator, my brother as an editor. I was able to have someone do a segment and pay them for their kind of remote filming in their own studio. So for the next one, I mean, Squarespace, Audible, somebody like can underwrite it, so that I can focus on making the show versus funding doing things to fund the show. Right. So I would love to make a season 2 and have it be bigger, have more guests, have the guests be involved throughout the show versus just during the interview.
Right. Walk us through something like this, though. Like, so you have an idea for Evelyn and Friends. Like, how does that even start? I know people really take creativity for granted. Like, when something is an actual thing, you know.
So it all starts with me wanting to recreate something that I've seen in traditional media. And so I see like late night, I see daytime television with the games and Ariana, welcome to the stage, Ariana Grande, like all this like institution and this structure of media. And I'm like, okay, how would I make that? Especially during the pandemic when all those like late night dudes had to figure out how to make a YouTube video. I was like, I already know how to make the YouTube version of this. I can try and make the YouTube version. So it starts with that, and then I think through, okay, those types of shows have segments. So what segments would I want to have? Okay, I want to have an interview. I would want to have some sort of a like extra segment. So for me, that was like a food taste testing segment. I wanted to collaborate with someone, so I invited YouTuber Jade Fox to do an advice segment because she already has that on her own channel, so it's something that people would be able to recognize, like, oh, Jade's doing the Jade Fox Advice Show on Evelyn's channel. I knew I needed like a theme song, so then my brother's a musician, so I was like, now we're just trading voice notes back and forth of like, it's a little bit like doobity da, and he's like doobity da, and now it's like doo doo doo. So like he makes the theme songs, and then I'm looking for an animator. I cold email an animator, and I'm like, hey friend, you don't know me. I saw your video on YouTube. I think we have the same like taste. Let's work together. I make a presentation in Canva. I give them the presentation. They're like, okay, this person lived at the time in like Massachusetts or something. I don't like up north, and so we've never met. And they made the theme, the credits, the transitions. They animated me. I incorporated my patrons, and so the animator drew their faces, so they show up during the theme song and the credits. So it's all about trying to replicate something that I see in traditional media and be like, okay, what's the internet version of that? Yeah.
That is so cool.
And then for the musical guest, I put a call out on Instagram, and I was like, anybody want to be a musical guest? Because I was like, that'd be cool. Like, they all have musical performances. Like, how do I do this? And so people responded. I listened to all the Spotifys and the Bandcamps, and I chose someone, and like I gave them the budget that I could, and they're from New York, so they produced their musical segment on their own in New York, building sets, asking their friends to choreograph things, and they edited it, and I just like dropped it into the episode as like the season finale musical guest. So yeah.
Sounds like a lot of thinking and reaching out and executing. And thank you for walking us through that. That's because sometimes you see something and you're like, well,
they made it.
They realize, for sure. So you would definitely work for someone, you said, as a creative person. What would you say your dream job is right now in this season of your life?
I mean, I would love to be a screenwriter in a writer's room. I'm not, brainstorming out loud is not my strong suit, and that's kind of what writer's rooms are, just kind of like throwing things out. I'm very internal, or voice notey. So I want to be a writer, or just like making videos for a company, or
What kind of company?
Like a head wrap company. Just like artistic people. I just want to be around more of that. That's kind of what it was like working for Naturally Curly, getting to work with all these hair and then beauty brands, and it was so much fun. Like, you meet Sephora and you meet L'Oreal and all these people. So just, I think creatively collaborating, that's what I'm
right. And you stopped working with Naturally Curly. I guess everything kind of shifted, or you just wanted to just try working for yourself for a while? I
just wanted to try working for myself, and it got to the point, since I was kind of the head of a department, that I was starting to take not PTO, like I had overdone my PTO, so I was like, this is kind of weird. I think it's time to make the switch and just do it for myself.
I want to actually go and ask you about your relationship. I want to just like switches, like from your relationship to your hair. I ask a few of my guests that. I find that interesting what they say.
What is my relationship to my hair? I think so. I went natural. We were talking about this earlier. For prom, I had like my first sew-in. Did not take care of it. Went swimming. Played volleyball. Did all these things, and I was like, had to cut it out of my head. And I went natural in freshman year of college. So I've also performed big chops in the Malcolm X Lounge. I did that. And so my relationship to my hair is like, it's better off this way. I had struggled. I had got relaxers since I was in elementary school, and I never really liked my hair. I was like, it's fine. It's thin. It's not, I don't have like bundles. And
we're the same person at this point, because
when I went natural, I was like, this is so much better. Like it feels more voluminous. It's just a lot better to work with. So I went natural kind of on accident, but I'm glad that I did. My relationship to my hair is she kind of do what she does. I'm not too much into like having the perfect style. I kind of just let her do whatever.
I've noticed that a lot of Black women refer to their hair like they're like a person. Do you have a name for your hair?
I don't. It's kind of she just kind of do what she do.
Exactly.
I do like I went natural. Then I did the whole dyeing my hair. It was purple, green, blue, just all these colors. And then the last color was hot Cheeto red. And that was an accident. It was not supposed to be hot Cheeto red. So then I stopped dyeing my hair, and then I got an undercut, so I've had shaved underneath. So I've done the whole thing, and
now we're here. Now she has braids up for everyone coming in. You have braids.
So
how do you define success?
I don't really have a definition of success quite yet. This was years ago, I was talking to my friend Nate, and we were talking about how it's important to have a mission. Because if my mission is to creatively express myself and make people laugh in the process, I have technically fulfilled my mission. Everything else is just a matter of scale. Like, do I want to do it? Do I want to creatively express myself and make people laugh in front of 1 million people, okay, that's just scale. But the mission is the same. So I think success is fulfilling your mission.
That's great.
Is what I tell myself.
So you do have a definition. Success is fulfilling your mission.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm gonna take that now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing it down. Okay, where can we find you? How do we support your endeavors? You talked about patrons.
Yeah, I mean, I have a Patreon. It's From the Internets, patreon.com/fromtheinternets. Right now, the Patreon is how I compensate my brother for his creative everything, music, editing, graphics, all of that. Also Instagram, just watch the stuff, share the stuff. If you know of anybody hiring for creative stuff, let them know I exist. So, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
I've learned so much, and I'm looking forward to maybe collaborating in the future.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something.
There is something.
Yeah, there's
I'm
plenty
looking at the
of
camera. There is something.
And that wraps up our other Rapid Wednesday episode. That's a wrap on another incredible episode of Rapid Wednesday. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss out on other inspiring conversations and head wrap tutorials. See you soon.